Hello and welcome. Tonight, the Defense Headquarters blames the latest violence in Mangu local government area of Plateau State on herder militia activities, cattle rustling and other factors. Governor Mwang warns against any reprisal action. Supreme Court declares Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers, Ahmed Aliyu of Sokoto and Agbo Kefas of Taraba as validly elected after dismissing appeals against their victory in the 2023 general elections. And founder Africa Missions Global, Pastor Folu Adeboye, calls for collaboration to ensure education of the African child as the organization marks the International Day of Education 2024.
On business news tonight, Niger and Morocco in talks to speed up the final investment decision on gas pipeline project between both countries.
On sports news tonight, defending champion Arina Zabalenka will clash with Chinese 12 seed Zheng Qinwen in the Australian Open final after both women powered to straight sets victories in the last four.
From Abuja, Governor Yaya Bello of Kogi State presents staff of office to the new Oyi Noyi of Iburaland, His Royal Majesty Ahmed Anaje.
And in international news from London, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Moscow of playing with the lives of Ukrainian prisoners after a deadly plane crash in western Russia.
We start off with security, where the military is attributing the causes of the latest violence that engulfed Mangu local government area of Plateau State to cattle rustling and herder militia activities, among other factors. Now, addressing the news conference in Abuja, the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, however, explained that special forces have been deployed to hotspots in the state to contain the situation. He adds that the Defense Headquarters plans to meet with the Chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria in Mangu Council, Reverend Timothy Daluk, over his comments accusing the military of supervising the killing of Christians and the destruction of property in the area.
The bi-weekly media briefing of the Defense Media Operations is coming on the heels of the latest attack in Mangu local government area of Plateau State. Expectedly, the Plateau attack dominates the briefing, especially the findings from the initial investigation.
Talking a little about the situation that happened in Plateau State, specifically in Mangu local government area of the state, I would say that the situation was triggered by a combination of factors, including the attempted cattle rustling and the killing of a Wangul man by herder militias.
One of the early reactions to the incident is this viral video of the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria in Mangu local government area alleging the culpability of the military in the incident. However, the military is seeking further clarification on the matter from him.
They said the curfew was restricted to only people within Mangu, within the Christian domain. But in the Muslim domain, they are free to move and do whatever they wanted to do. And not only that, the military has killed 3 of our young men, in which I know one is from my own church. They killed one yesterday. And I reported to the security. He said that it was a fake soldiers. At first he said I was lying, until I proved to him beyond I bowed down. Then finally he said it was a fake soldier.
In the course of my brief, I did make mention of the fact that we did make arrests, and as we speak, arrests are still being made. It is a developing situation, it's an ongoing situation. More troops have been deployed to the location, and I can say that the situation is not above us to handle. We are handling it, and we will address it properly. Our constitution as a country recognizes only one armed forces. Our constitution as a country recognizes only one police force. Anybody who wants to argue with that should know how to argue with that.
The military has already deployed troops to the affected communities with an assurance of safety for residents of the area as well as other Nigerians.
Meanwhile, the Niger police have paraded 16 suspects arrested in the course of the violence in Mangu of Plateau State. Addressing journalists at the police headquarters in Jos, the Plateau State capital, Police Public Relations Officer Alfred Alabo explained that 9 of the suspects were apprehended during the crisis in Mangu. He adds that the remaining 7 are suspects arrested in respect of their involvement in the December 24th attacks in the same Mangu local government area. Staying with the Plateau crisis, Governor Caleb Mwang has condemned the latest violence in Mangu local government area, where about 30 persons were killed and properties destroyed. In a press statement, the governor expressed concerns on the escalating security challenges, while commiserating with the grieving families, affected communities, and those injured in the attacks. He urged them to remain vigilant and promptly report any suspicious activities for swift intervention. Governor Mwang also commended security agencies in restoring calm and normalcy to the affected areas and called for continued collaboration between the security agencies and government to provide maximum protection to all citizens. In the meantime, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, says he would meet with the President over the deteriorating security situation in Plateau State. Honorable Abbas made this known in a statement in which he condemned the recurring attacks in Plateau, resulting in the death of many people. The Speaker says the House would take a strong position upon its resumption from the Christmas and New Year break on Tuesday next week and commence plans to organize a security summit to find lasting solutions to the security challenges in the north and other parts of the country. To the judiciary in the nation's capital now, where the Supreme Court today affirmed the election of Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State, Ahmed Aliyu of Sokoto State, and Agbu Kefas of Taraba State in the 2023 general elections. In a unanimous decision, the 5-member panel, headed by Justice Kudirat Kekere, held that the appellants failed to prove their cases with sufficient evidence that the governors were not duly elected by majority of votes cast during the March 18th governorship election. The court therefore dismissed the appeals for lacking in merit.
3 governorship appeals are set for conclusion at the Supreme Court as the deadline for all appeals end. The courtroom is filled with supporters and litigants. The 5-member panel commenced proceedings with the dismissal of the appeal of Mr. Tonye Cole of the All Progressives Congress, Rivers State, against the election of Governor Siminalayi Fubara. In dismissing the appeal, the 5-member panel held that Mr. Cole did not prove his allegations of overvoting, non-compliance, as well as non-qualification of Governor Fubara to contest the election, and accordingly, the appeal was grossly lacking in merit. The Apex Court also affirmed the victory of Governor Ahmed Aliyu of Sokoto State, dismissing the appeal of Saidu Umar of the People's Democratic Party. The Apex Court held that the appellant did not demonstrate that the 2 lower courts were perverse in their judgment and did not also show evidence of non-compliance with the Electoral Act. While affirming the victory of Governor Kefas Agbo of Taraba State, the Apex Court held that the case of the appellant, Professor Sani Yahya of the New Niger People's Party, was incompetent and lacked merit. According to the Apex Court, the Court of Appeal was right in holding that the case of Professor Yahya was incompetent on the grounds of incomplete transmission of the record of proceedings. Outside the courtroom, it's jubilation for the winning parties.
Like you would have noticed, all the issues were resolved in favor of the governor and the People's Democratic Party, and the conduct of the election as conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
This is a judgment that is a victory for democracy, victory for the rule of law, victory for the people of Sokoto State, victory for the APC, and victory for our governor, our deputy governor, and our leader, His Excellency, distinguished Senator Aliyu Magataka Mako. And I want to urge everybody, the peace-loving people of Sokoto State, to join hands with the Governor Ahmed Aliyu Sokoto FCNA to develop a new Sokoto State for the peace and development of our dear state.
Eventually it will come to an end and the truth should be revealed. You understand? And today the God has affirmed the truth. You We understand that APC is supposed to win election legitimately, legally.
Mr. Tonye Cole also reacts to the judgment.
Of course, there's disappointment that we did not win because we believe that we had a very, very good case. But that notwithstanding, I want to congratulate all Rivers people for just seeing this through. And at the end of the day, I want to wish the governor, Similaya Fubara, all the best.
The decision of the Apex Court settles the election of these governors. Now they can focus their attention on the issues of governance.
Meanwhile, there has been jubilation in Portharcourt, the River State capital, following Governor Similaya Fubara's victory at the Supreme Court. A crowd of supporters gathered at the government house to celebrate the victory. In his reaction, Governor Fubara says the judgment refreshes his strength to continue with the governance of the state. He also expressed appreciation to the President, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and the people of River State for his victory.
It is a victory for the entire state. It's important for us to note that we need this victory to consolidate on the purpose of governance. We have had a few distractions here and there, and the good news that came to us this morning is a refreshing strength that will ginger us to continue the work of governance. I want to commend the President for his fatherly role on every issues that concern our state. Not just the crisis, but also this particular litigation. It will also be unfair for me not to appreciate the minister, my Oga. I want to say thank you for all their support. And I want everybody to realize that River State will have a dream of making it a highly competitive state.
In another legal matter, Justice Bolaji Olajuwon of the Federal High Court Abuja has ordered the remand of 5 Portharcourt-based men accused by the federal government of terrorism offenses at the Kuje Correctional Center. They will be held in custody until February the 2nd, pending the determination of their bail applications. The defendants, Chime Eguma Ezebalike, Prince Lukman Oladele, Kenneth Goodluck Pasa, Osiga Donald, and Ochueja Thanggod, are facing 7 count charges relating to alleged acts of terrorism, including the invasion, vandalism, and burning of the River State House of Assembly during the political crisis in Portharcourt in October 2023. The charges also involve the alleged killing of a superintendent of police, Bako Agbashim, and 5 police informants, and using various cult groups to cause unrest in the state. In part 2, after the break, the Africa Missions Global marks the International Day of Education 2024. Founder, Pastor Fulu Adeboye, calls for collaboration to ensure education of the African child. Please stay with us. Let's head back to Plateau State, where the Niger police have paraded 16 suspects arrested in the cause of the violence in Mwang. Addressing journalists at the police headquarters in Jos, the Plateau State capital, Police Public Relations Officer Alfred Alabo explained that 9 of the suspects were apprehended during the crisis in Mwang.
The Plateau State Police Command has successfully repelled an attack some attack on villages in Mwang, LGA of the state, on the 24th of January 2024 at about 22:00 hours. We received intelligence concerning an attack which was targeted on Intam Community and ASTC company, both of Mwang LGA. Our team of agile police officers from the IGP Special Intervention Squad stationed at the ASTC company in conjunction with the area commander Banshee and DPO swung into action and thwarted that effort of the attackers. In a separate incident, an attempt by some criminal assailants in Panyam district to set fire on some worship centers was prevented by the swift intervention from the police and with the help of some elders of the community and other security agencies. Also, in another development, to further strengthen the existing security architecture in Mangu LGA and ensure compliance with the curfew imposed by the government and prevent further escalation of the incident, which is almost snowballing into an ethno-religious crisis. I have ordered the deployment of additional special intervention personnel to Mangu LGA to be commanded by the area commander Banshee and restore normalcy in that area.
Everyone must lend a helping hand in ensuring that the African child is educated. This is the view of the founder, Africa Missions Global, who is also the wife of the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Mrs. Folu Adeboye. She was speaking at the missions event to mark the International Day of Education 2024, which is celebrated annually on January the 24th. Our correspondent, Chris Lems, reports that the hybrid event attracted participants from around the world.
Guests arrived at the multi-purpose hall of the Peaceville International Academy, Redemption City, for the Africa Missions Global International Education Day celebration.
Has reached out to over 15 million people all over the world.
The African Missions Global, AMG, established in 1996, has the mandate to reach, restore, and empower the underprivileged in Africa and around the world through various initiatives, including education. The arrival of the visionary, Pastor Mrs. Folu Adeboye, sets the stage for the event. In his opening remark, the chairman, Board of Trustees of the AMG, Pastor Brown Oyiso, speaks on the driving force behind the mission, referencing education as a fundamental human right.
Knowledge is a powerful driver of development and one of the strongest instruments for reducing poverty. The AMG has impacted over 15 million students and families across primary and secondary schools. I thought we were going to clap. These are no mean achievements. These are no mean achievements to the glory of God.
The ambition of African Missions Global is to impact 100 million lives by 2033 under its Horizon 2033 project. While this appears a daunting task, the visionary, Pastor Mrs. Folu Adeboye, believes it is achievable with all hands on deck.
Many lives have been touched by our education programs. Schools have been built in some of the remotest parts of Africa for children who, prior to the intervention of the African Mission Global, had no access to education at all, and with no hope that they will ever have.
The African continent continues to deal with a significant rise in the numbers of out-of-school children. A major thrust of the SDGs goal is to leave no one behind. And the role of technology in making this possible is captured in the keynote address presented by Nigeria's permanent representative to UNESCO Council in Paris, Ambassador Dr. Hajo Sani.
It is imperative to acknowledge that technology alone is not a panacea. Access to reliable internet connectivity and affordable devices remains a challenge in many parts of Africa. Actions within the African region must therefore, and most importantly, address connectivity, an issue of digital divide.
A panel session further addresses the narrative on technology in transforming education in Africa.
What do you see technology playing in transforming pedagogy and learning experience across Africa?
And the children also shared their thoughts.
Solution for lasting peace. Educate the leaders to be change makers in their communities.
Psychologists have deduced that our learning environments have a great psychological impact on the way we think, whether negative or positive.
Usually, it is out of school children or those taught in less human conditions that do not value lives.
In conclusion, a popular quote says, "Educate a child and close the prison gate." Thank you.
With the event concluded, the Chief Executive Officer of the African Missions Global shares our concerns.
Every day we still see our brothers and sisters trekking across the Sahara, going on banana boats in the Mediterranean. We don't want to see that. So we want to look at what we can do for our young children to instill in them that value that makes you value yourself as an African child. That there's something you can bring to the table. There's a value you can give to the world.
Other initiatives of the African Missions Global include empowerment, provision of shelter and orphanage support services, health care, potable water, clothing, feeding, and much more. Chris Ilems, Channels Television News.
And now let's head to the nation's capital where Mark Belgun Yusuf is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Ayo. Well, we're off to Kogi State now, where Governor Yaya Bello of that state has presented the staff of office to the new Ohinoyi of Igbira land, Alhaji Ahmed Anaje in Okene town. During the presentation, Governor Bello asked the traditional ruler to unite all sons and daughters of Igbira land, in addition to working together with other royal fathers to expand the frontiers of development in Kogi State.
It's a new dawn in Igbira land as Kogi State government officials, led by Governor Yahaya Bello, the governor-elect Usman Ododo, join family and friends of the new Ohinoyi of Igbira land, Alhaji Ahmed Tijani Anaje, guests from far and near for the coronation of the new Ohinoyi of Igbira land.
Royal Majesty, I am the paramount ruler of Igbira Kingdom, Igbira Nation.
His coronation follows the demise of the fourth traditional ruler of Igbira land, Abdul Karim Ado Ibrahim, in October 2023 at the age of 95.
The next item is oath of office. Oath of office. Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs.
The event shifts into gear with the administration of oath of office of the new monarch by an official of the Kogi State Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs.
I will rule my people with justice and impartiality and strive to preserve the peace and tranquility of my domain. So help me God.
Thereafter, Governor Yahaya Bello presents the staff of office to the Ohinoyi of Igbira land.
I, Yahaya Bello, the Executive Governor of Kogi State, hereby present staff of office, which is the symbol of authority, to the new Ohinoyi of Igbira land, Alhaji Dr. Ahmed Tijani Mohammed Anaje. May reign be long.
In his address, the governor says it's an honor for him to perform the installation of the Ohinoi.
God Almighty has given me the opportunity to perform this very all-important task in our life, the appointment and installation of Ohinoi of Ibiraland. To God be the glory.
The new monarch describes his enthronement as the beginning of a new era in Ibiraland, just as he promises to work with both the federal and Kogi State government in expanding the frontiers of development.
My deepest appreciation goes first and foremost to Almighty Allah, the giver of all the good things, and has blessed our land with this moment of transition to a new reign and guided us toward a new chapter in our rich history. I extend my sincere gratitude to His Excellency Governor Yahya Bello, CON, for his unwavering commitment to the overall development of Kogi State and well-being of Ibiraland. Your leadership and trust in our people have paved way for this new dawn. Wonderful.
The event ends with the presentation of a car key to Alhaji Ahmed Tijani Anaje by Governor Yahya Bello.
Still ahead on the news at 10. Nigeria and Morocco in talks to speed up the final investment decision on a gas pipeline project between both countries. That's on business news. To join us again. Welcome back to Infrastructure Matters. The Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, says he's committed to the development of every part of the state through the provision of solid infrastructure. He was speaking in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, during the commissioning of the dualized 8.2-kilometer Agodi Gate, Old Ife Road, Alakia Adegbayi Road.
It's a day of joy for the people of Oyo State, especially those resident in Agodi Road, Old Ife Road and Ibadan areas of the state. Important personalities are present to commission the dualized 8.2-kilometer Agodi Gate, Old Ife Road, Alakia Adegbayi Road. Addressing those present at the event, the Commissioner for Public Works and Transport notes that the road is pivotal to the economic development of the areas affected.
It's an historic road, and due to the expansion of the city of Ibadan land and the creation of more local government in Ibadan land, we have to move this carriage way to a dualized road.
For Governor Seyi Makinde, good infrastructure remains the bedrock of economic prosperity. He promises that his government will not relent in its quest to develop Oyo State.
The completion of this project is a further testament of our commitment to expanding the Oyo State economy through road projects. Our goal is to upgrade cities and towns in Oyo State to places that we can all be proud of. We do not want to leave any communities behind. So, if we had all the resources at our disposal, we will do more at a faster rate.
Governor Ademola Adeleke of Oyo State.
The Oyo State Governor Ademola Adeleke, who is the special guest of honor, praises Governor Makinde for his quality of leadership in the Southwest region.
The Oyo State Governor is a trailblazer. Oyo State performance is a great motivation, not just for Osun, but other states in the Southwest. As we celebrate my brother today, I call for closer developmental cooperation among southwest states. We must deepen regional collaboration.
More projects are expected to be commissioned in the state by Governor Sheyi Makinde in the coming days.
Of humanity.
In other news, members of the Fatima Charity Foundation are seeking spiritual intervention in two major issues plaguing the country: corruption and national security. They came together to pray for Nigeria's well-being at the foundation's 13th prayer for the nation in Lagos.
It's a special prayer session aimed at seeking divine intervention for the country, and it is organized by Fatima Charity Foundation. In its 13th edition, the annual prayer for the nation brings together religious leaders, members of the foundation, and other well-wishers to commit the nation's well-being into the hands of the Almighty. The Yalode of Lagos, who is also the president of the foundation, Chief Mrs. Bintu Fatima Tinubu, urges Nigerians to join their faiths in prayers.
Nigeria needs our prayers at all levels. Majority of the challenges we are facing has attributed to the surge of pandemic, of corruption and insecurity. But I want to urge Nigerians not to be discouraged about these challenges, for this is the time to join faith in prayer, in seeking the face of God.
The guest speakers, Sheikh Abdurrahman Adangba and Pastor Tokwe Olofiade, speak to two major issues facing the country: corruption and insecurity.
Corruption is our heart. So the heart of the mind has been negatively tutored, and that is why we are corrupt to the marrow. So today, it's not about the knowledge, it's about the reality of the knowledge.
What are the effects of this insecurity that we are talking about? Somebody told me that the safest environment is the southwest region. Everybody is running to this place. There will be what we call population explosion. Population explosion will come to the southwest unless the issue of insurgency is addressed.
The 2024 prayer session served as a spiritual gathering. Here, the nation's leaders, both at the national and state levels, as well as the citizenry, are committed to the hands of God to foster positive change.
And on that note of prayer, it's back now to you, Ayo.
Many thanks, Malkwe. In the next 2 or 3 months, the construction of the 4th Mainland Bridge will be flagged off. This is according to the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who made this known during the Lagos West Senatorial District Town Hall meeting at Ikeja. Governor Sanwo-Olu says the bridge will be constructed in phases, and those whose properties will be affected will be duly compensated.
The People's Town Hall meeting for Lagos West Senatorial District holding at Balmoral Convention Center, Ikeja. It's all part of the open door policy of the administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. This town hall meeting is an opportunity for the state government to give account of its achievement, and the Commissioner for Information and Strategy takes the lead.
The philosophy of the Sanwo-Olu administration is that for democracy to maintain its essence, the active involvement of the people in governance must be encouraged, and that is what we are doing in Lagos. This is because the citizens, they are the bedrock of democracy.
Governor Sanwo-Olu reels out part of his scorecard. The project's underway with specific attention on the long-awaited 4th Mainland Bridge.
I'm making plans to procure more power and more power CNG buses, because I know people are going to ask me questions around the 4th Mainland Bridge. By the end of March or April, we should break grounds to start the construction of the 4th Mainland Bridge. It's going to be built in phases. You cannot get without needing to do a bit of discomfort. But we will ensure that we compensate everybody that their property or their businesses will be disturbed.
Beneficiaries of the State Empowerment Scheme commend the government.
I was called upon that government has a package for me.
Meanwhile, religious leaders, traditional rulers, and other residents share their areas of concern in the state.
If we have established our own state police, we are capable of handling our own insecurity in Lagos.
Sir, have you ever considered the possibility of subway system?
If you can have Igbo air, why don't we have Lagos air?
Most of the questions raised are carefully dealt with by the governor.
Regarding the state police, I imagine that is also an ongoing conversation, right? At the federal level, it's an ongoing conversation, and we are not giving up on it. Why can't we have Lagos here? It is in the works. These are part of the topic. You know, we want to under-promise and over-deliver.
The conversation continues with other senatorial districts across the state as the state government promises to implement its development agenda for the benefit of the people.
The Niger Delta Grassroots Coalition has kicked against the call for the sack of the Executive Vice President upstream of the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, Mrs. Orishameyiwa Ayeson, describing it as misguided. The group attributed the call to the Niger Delta Forum for Truth and Justice, which it says accused Mrs. Ayeson of bias in the award of pipeline surveillance contracts. According to the NDGC, Mrs. Ayeson has a track record of professionalism and cannot be accused of ethnic bias as alleged by the Niger Delta Forum for the Niger Delta Forum for Truth and Justice. In a statement by the coordinator of the NDGC, Prince Edema Collin, those calling for her sack are only whipping up ethnic bias because she's Ishakiri. The group wonders why the accusers did not allege bias when the surveillance contract was awarded to an Ijaw man or companies belonging to Ijaw people under an Ijaw man as executive vice president. The statement adds that, quote, "It is a shame that instead of this group of jobless hustlers that claim to stand for truth and justice to engage in meaningful business or subject themselves to same rigorous process that led to the award of surveillance contract to Pipeline Infrastructure Limited, since they so desire the contract, they want to use blackmail and ethnic bias to get the contract through the back door." But the group also condemns the indictment of the Olu of Warri, His Royal Majesty Ogeme Atuashe III, by the Niger Delta Forum for Truth and Justice. It notes that the royal father is a shining light within the region and not a member of board of directors of Pipeline Infrastructure, neither one of its trustees. It's now time for some business news with Will Ibong.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Now, in a bid to fast-track the process of achieving the final investment decision, FID, on the Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline, the federal government has intensified discussions with the Kingdom of Morocco on the project. According to a statement by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, the discussions aim to accelerate the Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline project in alignment with agreements made by both countries in 2022 and address energy poverty in Africa. At the same time, the project is aimed at boosting the monetization of Nigeria's gas resources, maintaining NNPC's limited energy leadership in Africa, and promoting economic and regional cooperation among African countries. The pipeline's route is expected to pass through several African countries, including the Republic of Benin, Togo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Gambia, Senegal, Mauritania, and terminate in Morocco with a spur in Spain. Now, Xiaomi Nigeria Limited has launched its latest range of smartphones, the Redmi Note 13 series, into the Nigerian markets. The company says the Note 13 range will give Nigerian consumers quality and offers an affordable price with an exceptional value for money.
This smartphone is designed to make a statement wherever.
An evening
filled with pomp, pageantry and excitement, all dedicated to the launch of the Redmi Note 13 series smartphones into the Nigerian market by Xiaomi Nigeria.
The corporate look is absolutely outstanding.
Since 2019, Xiaomi Nigeria has been actively involved in the Nigerian market, expanding its network through mobile operators and online distributors to increase the availability of their devices across the country.
I'm going to ask them to display the rear view, the back of the phone. Please turn your phone around. There we go.
Xiaomi was built upon the vision, make friend with the user, and to be the coolest component in the user hands. For the Note 13 series, this time we updated the camera live device.
We are pretty sure that in 2024, game changer like the Note 13, very big volumes of Redmi 13C that we have just launched 2 months back, will put us in the front of the market.
Promoters of the Xiaomi brand say they are also abreast of the times without compromising quality.
It doesn't just look good, but it also feels good in your hand.
Very impressive. It comes with the impressive upgrades, which can include or enhance the 200 megapixel.
Very similar features with the same big phone per se, and then you are still able to afford that.
For the consumers, expectations are high, given Xiaomi's range of quality since launching into the Nigerian market 5 years ago.
The kind of job I deal with cameras, and I have to make videos, take pictures. That the camera is also going to be awesome.
Basically, what this means in the for the jargon is the lower the nanometer number, the faster the phone is. And most phones in this price range, you see something like 6 nanometers, but this is 4 nanometers, so it's lower. It's a fast phone.
Xiaomi Nigeria says its ultimate goal is to establish stores across the country and bring the very best of smartphone technology geared towards consumer satisfaction.
And with that spectacular launch, let's head to the stock markets where Ini John Mekwa is standing by to give us the details.
Thank you, Will. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the story hasn't changed. The market is still growing. That's the NGX. Today, it went up from 101,000 we closed with yesterday to 102,149.93, gaining 0.57%, and the market cap getting close to another level, very close to 56 trillion naira. Maybe we'll do this at the close of trade tomorrow. And yes, the banking counter has been sleeping for a bit. Guess what? They are awake. The figures are back today. FBN Holding is still down there. Profit taking still hitting it. But we have others. UBA, GTCO, Accessco, Zenith Bank, all in the green, contributing to today's positive sentiment. But the major market mover for today is in the oil and gas sector. I told you that's one counter to look out for at this time. Seplat opened today at 2,795 naira 10 kobo, but closed at 3,074 naira 60 kobo. So if you had any stock here, the price gained 10% for just today. A good buy, if you ask me. So the ball is still here. The market is still green.
And that's a wrap on business news. It's back to you, Ayotunde.
Thank you, Will. Russia and Ukraine are playing the blame game over the downing of a plane carrying Ukrainian prisoners of war in western Russia recently. President Volodymyr Zelensky accuses Moscow of playing with the lives of Ukrainian prisoners following a crash in the Belgorod region near the Ukrainian border. Here's Simon Pusey with more on this and other international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Moscow of playing with the lives of Ukrainian prisoners after a deadly plane crash in western Russia. He demanded an international inquiry after Wednesday's crash in the Belgorod region near Ukraine's border. Russia said there were no survivors after Kyiv had downed the Il-76 plane with 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war, 6 Russian crew and 3 escorts. Ukraine's military intelligence said it had not been told to ensure safe airspace, comments seen as a tacit acknowledgement that Ukraine shot the plane down. However, it stressed it had no reliable information about who was on board and warned the incident may have involved planned and deliberate actions by Russia. Russian journalist Daria Trepova has been sentenced to 27 years in jail for the killing of a pro-war blogger last April. Vladlen Tartatsky was killed by a bomb in a statuette Trepova gave him at a talk he was about to give in St. Petersburg. Dozens were injured in the blast. Trepova denied the charges, saying she thought the statuette contained a listening device. The sentence is one of the harshest imposed on a woman in Russia's history. A Japanese man has been sentenced to death for an arson attack at a Kyoto animation studio in 2019, which killed 36 people and injured dozens more. The incident, one of Japan's deadliest in recent decades, killed mostly young artists and shocked the anime world. Shinji Aoba pleaded guilty to the attack, but his lawyers had sought a lighter sentence on grounds of mental incompetence. Judges rejected this, however, ruling that Aoba knew what he was doing. The UK's Foreign Secretary has told Benjamin Netanyahu that Britain still believes in the need for a two-state solution. In the most strongly worded intervention yet, Lord Cameron also called for an immediate pause in the fighting and pushed for Israel to open up more crossing points into Gaza to allow aid into Palestine.
Time for an immediate pause in the fighting, because we've got to not only get the aid in, but crucially we've got to get those hostages out. And what I think we can do now is plan for how you turn that pause into a permanent, sustainable ceasefire without a return to fighting.
Offers in Lake Del Valle in California have airlifted a woman to safety after she drove into an engorged creek. The woman survived after climbing on her car and spent the night there until she was spotted by someone who was camping nearby the next morning. According to officials, the woman spent 14 hours atop her car. She was transported to a local hospital with minor injuries. The first picture of Japan's moon lander spacecraft shows it rotated 90 degrees from how it should have come to rest. This will go some way to explaining the difficulties it has had in generating the electricity needed to operate. The image was captured by the small baseball-sized robot called Sora Q that was ejected moments before touchdown last Saturday. The UK is sending some of Ghana's crown jewels back home 150 years after looting them from the court of the Asante King. A gold peace pipe is among 32 items returning under long-term loan deals. The Victoria and Albert Museum is lending 17 pieces and 15 are from the British Museum. Ghana's chief negotiator said he hoped for a new sense of cultural cooperation after generations of anger. Some national museums in the UK are banned from permanently giving back contested items, and loan deals are seen as a way to allow objects to return to their countries of origin. Police in Thailand have arrested a woman whose pet lion was pictured going on a joyride in the streets of Pattaya. A video that has now gone viral shows the chained lion cub seated in the back of a white open-top Bentley. The lion was being driven about by a Sri Lankan man who has now left the country. While it is not illegal to own a lion in Thailand, it needs to be officially registered. And Hollywood stars Henry Cavill and Samuel L. Jackson aren't easily upstaged, but it was Claudia Schiffer's cat who stole the show at a film premiere last night. Dua Lipa, Sam Rockwell, Bryan Cranston and Bryce Dallas Howard were among the stars attending the launch of the spy film Argylle in London's Leicester Square. But Schiffer brought along her cat, Chip, who appears in the film and hoovered up all of the media attention. Photos from the night were posted to Chip's 13,000 followers on Instagram. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Formidable world number 2 Aryna Sabalenka blasted past American teenager Coco Gauff into the Australian Open final earlier today to keep her title defense on track. The Belarusian tamed the 4th seed 7-6, 6-4 in 1 hour and 42 minutes on Rod Laver Arena to avenge a defeat by the American in last year's US Open final. By beating Goff, the 25-year-old became the first player since Serena Williams in 2016 and 2017 to reach back-to-back Australian Open finals. Meanwhile, Chinese 12th seed Zheng Qinwen stormed into a debut championship match with a steering 6-4-6-4 victory over gallant Ukrainian qualifier Diana Yastremka earlier today. In doing so, the 21-year-old became the first Chinese finalist in Melbourne since her idol Lin Na won the title in 2014. Zheng's previous best slam showing was the quarterfinals at the US Open last year, when she was easily beaten by Sabalenka into their only previous meeting. Ukraine's most celebrated footballer, Andriy Shevchenko, has been elected president of the country's Football Association earlier today, pledging to develop the sport amid the Russian invasion. Shevchenko won the Champions League with AC Milan in 2003 and is Ukraine's top goal scorer, has been a staunch opponent of Russia's war, speaking out regularly against Moscow's action and using his profile to help raise funds for victims and refugees. That sports news is back to you, Ayotunde.
Thank you so much, Chris. And the main news again. The Defense Headquarters today blamed the latest violence in Mangu local government area of Plateau State on herder militia activities, cattle rustling and other factors. Meanwhile, Governor Caleb Mwang has warned against any reprisal action. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Do have a good night and please stay safe.